hey guys, like by mid-June, all of these changes will have happened in your life, I would have been like, you're kidding me, go away. It's just a lot. Hey everyone, and welcome back to our channel. I just wanted to come on here, we just wanted to come in on here and do a quick video and kind of introduce ourselves. We have a lot of new subscribers, and I also haven't really introduced Chris, so there's Chris.
I'm Chris.
This is my
husband.
Yeah. We've been married for like almost 4 years, and we dated like 4 or 5 years before that. And we're originally from Tucson, Arizona, and we moved out to Texas about 4 years ago. In 2018, we bought our first house, and that was in a small town called Taylor, Texas. And that's the house that you've been watching videos of. And that house is like 110 years old. It's very unique, and we really love it. But we just kind of wanted to sort of catch you up on what's happening with that house and all the changes that are happening in our lives. So I guess I'll bring it back to December. That was when we were filming the small bathroom makeover video. A lot of you probably found us through that video because it's been a hit during the pandemic lately. There are a lot of views on that video, so thank you so much if you've subscribed to us after watching that video, or if you're just here for, since day one, that's awesome too. Thank you so much. So we have 2 dogs, Molly and Zion, and they're litter mates. I've had them since they were 4 weeks old. Our dog Molly actually passed away, and it was very unexpected, and she basically was fine like every day, and then
she just wasn't.
That happened literally during that makeover, and right before Christmas, right before we had company in town. It really sucked. It hit us both really hard. That was really difficult for me to even process what had happened, let alone look at footage where she was walking through the frame and she was sitting there, and it's like, oh my God, like it was just such like a heart-wrenching thing. I took some time on that, and I don't think I put that video out until about February. And then in the meantime, my mom and my grandma came out to Texas to visit us for Christmas, which was really awesome. We just kind of had a really relaxing break with them, and then hit the new year running like most people, I guess, probably trying to. Looking back, it sounds bizarre. But in January, we actually had planned to have a full sewer replacement at our house.
So basically, we noticed we started having a backup with the sewer, an issue with the sewer. And I was lucky enough to catch it and not have anything come up into the house. And so we immediately had a sewer company come out, look at it, found out that what we thought the sewer had been replaced with PVC modern day pipe turned out to be that a small section of it was, and then the rest of it was all the original clay sewer pipe. And in that there were several breaks. The ground out in that area is known as a black clay, and it shifts around a lot, and so that movement over time just deteriorated the sewer, plus also it being probably several decades old. We had it cleaned out, got it draining again. Another thing, the sewer ran directly underneath our driveway.
Yeah,
Our
concrete driveway.
Yeah, our recently poured concrete driveway, and it wasn't down the center. It was at like a 10-degree angle. So imagine if your driveway's like this, it was at a slight angle just down the whole length of it, all 60 plus feet of it.
Which that was the expensive part, because they originally quoted us to replace it, and it was this astronomical number, and we're like, yeah, cool, we just bought this house, so how are we supposed to do that?
So over time we kind of figured out our options, and finally came to a solution. Since our home is a pier and beam home, they were able to reroute the sewer underneath the house to exit at a different location, and then go parallel to our driveway and just slightly cross in to make the city connection. And so it really minimized the cutting on the driveway, but it was a big expense, big undertaking. It was like almost a 2-week project for them to do. It was all had to be dug by hand, but we finally got that taken care of.
Works really well. I keep saying we can flush with confidence because for a really long time we couldn't. So that's kind of what we got handled, and it was kind of like, yay, now the sewer's done. Like we can focus on other things. We can, maybe start planning another room renovation. At that point, it was February. Things started getting a little crazy in the world.
Kind of getting into March, if I remember correctly. It's been a while. It still feels like March to me with everything going on. We kind of took the sheltering in place, pretty seriously. We don't want to compromise ourselves or any family members or anything like that. So we kind of took that on. And so that kind of really slowed down our willingness to go to home improvement stores and go out just into the general public to, get supplies or anything we need to continue with any house renovations.
Something you may not know, so I do freelance web and graphic design. I also have an Etsy store. I wasn't really sure what was going to happen with my job, and I know that so many of you probably may have lost your jobs or know loved ones who lost their jobs too, but I had a bunch of projects go under, and it was kind of like hey, we're going to put this on hold for now until we don't know, and some of those I've heard back on, and some of them are just canceled forever. So, you do your best as any kind of business owner to plan out your schedule. For me, I try to plan out my schedule like weeks in advance, months in advance, sometimes for these bigger projects. And so a lot of those were just kind of pushed to the side. And so at that point, I was really freaking out. I think by end of March, early April, I was freaking out.
Also at the time, I'm a mechanical engineer, and I was an engineer in the heavy truck industry. And with the COVID thing, pretty much all shipments stopped, all trucking stopped. So that, really affected my industry as well. There was pay cuts and that kind of thing. And so, there was a little bit of worry also about job security on my end.
We really just kind of put a hold on all of our spending. Try to, educate myself on how to kind of turn things around and use what resources I had and reach out to clients and that kind of thing. And luckily for me, that worked pretty well. We had to sit down and have a real talk about our finances and the house and everything and jobs. And I think just with some stuff that was going on at Chris's work, maybe some stuff that didn't have to do with coronavirus, but then also mostly changes that happened during the pandemic and the decisions that were made during that pandemic.
It just didn't seem like a very good long-term place for me to be, which sounds crazy because I'm very fortunate, very thankful to still had a job. A opportunity came up, and that opportunity would require us relocating.
Yeah.
And it's not something we had ever considered. We were very happy and content in our home, our house. We're our butts off to buy
if we
that
had
house.
planned on moving in 2 years, I don't think that we would have bought a house.
Yeah.
Especially not a house that was kind of a project.
Yeah. I won't get into too much detail of it because I can't. But it's, was getting into the ground floor of a startup, which is to me a very rare opportunity. It, was an opportunity that I couldn't turn down. Anything like this, especially moving in a pandemic, there's always some risk involved, and we assessed that risk, and seemed like given the current climate.
Yeah, we literally wrote down a pros and cons list, the 2 columns, just totally hashed it out. So that was a really hard decision to make because we had really set up these lives in the Austin/Round Rock area.
I keep reiterating on this that I feel like we're very fortunate and very lucky to have an opportunity to have these decisions. And so we ultimately did make the decision to move to East Texas for this job. It made more sense for us to try to sell our house immediately, so I wasn't trying to pay for 2 places at a time. Selling our house would be a lot easier with everything vacated, with us not being there, because with the virus going on, the last thing people want to do is walk into somebody's space where they're living all the time.
So if you're not familiar with the layout of Texas, it's ridiculous. It's a ridiculously big state. So we're what I consider to still be pretty close to Austin. We're about 3.5 hours out from where we were living. So, I mean, we've managed to drive there and back within a day. It's no problem. So we decided that, you know, we would just go ahead and take all of those risks and just go with it. We took a lot of risks moving from Arizona to Texas, and it worked out pretty well, and we really loved it in the Austin area. And, you know, maybe we can love this area even more. So as sad as it is to leave that life, so to speak, leave our friends that are there, we're still not that far away. We're a lot closer than we are to Arizona. I think Chris started his job May 1st, and I spent the first couple of weeks just packing up everything in our house. I don't think we mentioned, we kind of made this decision in like a couple of days. It was a really quick interview process, turnaround time for decisions. We basically just packed up all of his stuff, found a place to rent. That was a whole thing. You're not allowed to go tour the apartments.
In the middle of a pandemic.
All the apartment offices are closed, and you have an 85-pound dog that needs to live in the apartment. Luckily, we were able to find a place that they were really accommodating, they were really understanding. The person that works here in the office was able to go into the unit and make a video for us. They offered to FaceTime us so that we could kind of check out the space before we moved here. It's not the most luxurious of places by any means, but you know, it'll do for having to pay for a 1-bedroom apartment while we still have a mortgage. Got our stuff moved over. We started living here full time, and then on the weekends when Chris wasn't working, we would just drive back and then you know, update paint on the house, make sure everything was clean, just get the house ready for selling. Yeah, that house looks like $1 million if you ask me. And I kept saying to Chris, I was like, I would buy this house again in a heartbeat. You know, it is like really bittersweet because that was like our first house we bought, and we just keep thinking about, you know, how stressful the home buying process is and what we went through in order to get that house. But then once we had all of our stuff out of the house and moved out here, it kind of just became a house. That's what it is. And, you know, all the memories and stuff you have there just kind of get packed up with you. So I think I'm at a point right now where I don't have that much of an attachment to the house anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we're in the middle of this selling process right now. Our house is under contract. I'm confident that we're leaving that house in a much better place than when we bought it.
Yep. So we've been living in the apartment ever since.
Yeah.
So we're currently in the apartment. It's been a couple months now. It's small. It's hard going from your own, you know, modest house with a decent sized lot to a couple hundred square feet.
Yeah. And I mean, it's also just different because, you know, we're not used to being this close to other people. Yeah. And especially right now during a pandemic, I don't know that this is the ideal time to move from a house to a crowded apartment. But I mean, it is what it is. Along with trying to adjust to living in this apartment, just kind of navigate a new space, a new town, a new job, the world going crazy all around us. Our other dog, Zion, went on this like steady decline. I don't think he'd been completely healthy probably since Molly passed away. He had really good days and he had really bad days, and then it just started becoming like most days were bad days. One day there was just a day that he just couldn't get up that whole day.
You would look at him and he was letting us know that it was his time.
I spent like a whole day laying on the floor with him, you know, just like hanging out and stuff. And Chris came home and we tried to get him to go outside. Barely could make it, barely could walk. And went outside and just kind of collapsed onto the ground and just looked at us like, I'm not doing this. Nope, that's it. So we had to take him to the emergency vet, and they pretty much determined that he had a large tumor in his belly, which we were aware of and knew that it was inoperable. And the vet believed that the tumor may have ruptured. We kind of had to just make that hard decision and put him down. And so it's not something, again, that no one plans to do that. We are still adjusting to not having a dog. This is the first time in my entire life where I have not had a pet dog, so that's really weird. So during this time, we're also going through the first offer that came through on the house and everything, and it was just kind of like, this is a lot. This is a lot of stress. So here we are now. Our house is on the market. It's under contract, but I think you still say it's on the market. Once we realized that it's really beautiful out here, and everything that I'd heard about East Texas just kind of being like a crappy place to live, I'm kind of seeing that that's not true. And there are a lot of really beautiful things here. If you haven't been out here, it's like a piney forest, I think. Is that what
called
you call it?
The piney woods.
The piney woods. And so there are a lot of pine trees, a lot of lakes. Do you like living here?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just different, It's weird because it's not exactly a great time to put yourself out there and try to meet new people and make friends. Yeah. To say the least.
Getting to know our new location, kind of exploring the area, seeing what there is to do. We're kind of limited at still what we can do with everything going on, but we're trying to make the best of it and, stay safe.
We do have a empty house tour coming out next week, and we just kind of went through our house, and we're going to show you the lay of the land, show you the yard, show you all the rooms that you didn't get to see. We also have some stuff coming up that's going to be more like renter-friendly makeovers, going through this apartment and just kind of making this space really livable and functional for us. If you haven't already, please check out our video from last week where we showed you how to build your own stock tank pond. All right, so I think we've kind of talked long enough, so we will see you guys next time, and thanks for listening, and thanks for watching, and thanks for subscribing. Bye.